Well, I love this picture that Dr. G put up here of this yogi lady. I have to relate to her. And my colleagues think I'm believable when I present, and it's because I have 2 artificial hips. I just want to make that clear, and I'm not going to tell you my age, but I do like her. My name is Tina Walter. I'm a certified yoga therapist at UC Health, and I have an advanced study certification in yoga therapy for cancer and chronic illness, and I've been working in the yoga therapy world for over 10 years in hospitals, 3 local hospitals and a Northern Kentucky hospital, working with people with chronic conditions and using the tools of yoga in a more therapeutic way, in a more personalized, customized way. I'm passionate about yoga. I believe in it. It helped me so much during my prehabilitation, my surgeries, my recoveries, and I've been practicing for a long time. Dr. G said my yoga mat looks it. It's gotten some wear and tear. And I have dummied down the practice many times. I've modified the practice. I've used pieces of the practice. Even the breathing I've used. I've used the awareness practice. So I just want to say that there are many, many wonderful ways to use yoga. Today I'm going to talk about how a yoga practice can help improve functional changes in Parkinson's disease. I don't have many slides because I want to go through this and really give you an experience and get you moving. So today I thought I would talk about the different styles of yoga. We hear so much about yoga. It gets a bad rap. I think people have some misunderstandings. They think that it's a really tough practice. Often you have to be able to put your foot behind your head. I've heard many people say, I'm not flexible. I can't do yoga. I don't like it. I don't have that kind of flexibility. And really, yoga is about awareness first, and then the breath, and then the asana or the poses. So, as you know, it's really not always about movement. It has a lot to do with breathing, meditation. So I want to talk a little bit about those today and the benefits. It's different than exercise in that yoga asks us to be aware of what we're doing and focus on our breath while we are moving. So the connection of the breath with the movement is what's being researched and known to rewire the patterns of our brain that cause stress and anxiety. So that's really the benefit of it and the difference between yoga and exercise. And they think it's very, very helpful for people with Parkinson's disease. Different types of yoga, from hot yoga to aerial yoga. It's popular vinyasa flow. Vinyasa means continuous flow with breath. Movement with breath. There's no break in the flow. So you can get into a class and flow really quickly from one pose to the next. It can be a very strenuous practice. But today I want to talk about more hatha yoga. Hatha is more foundational, and all yogas are springing from the foundation of hatha yoga. Hatha means sun and moon. And it basically is the opposites. It's balancing opposites in yoga. Always effort, ease, grounding, lifting, breath, no breath, retention of breath. There's always the opposites in a hatha class. So we're going to do a little bit of that in a little bit. Ways yoga therapy can support people with Parkinson's disease: balance, flexibility, strength. And the yoga therapy classes that you see focus on these things. Balance, flexibility, strength are offered weekly, free of charge for people with Parkinson's disease. Yoga practices can include, yoga therapy practices can include meditation, breathing, not just movement, relaxation practices, guided imagery, and the asana, the physical postures. And really, it's up to you to decide what feels good, how to modify. I'm always modifying the poses. I'm using chairs, I'm using props. When you're home, think about what prop you can use today. Can you use a chair without arms? Grab one if you have it. Do you have a yoga block? If you don't, grab a thick pillow. Grab something that is going to support you in your practice. Lots of chair yoga, lots of restorative yoga. I believe in modifying the practice to make it work for you. It's very adaptable. It's an adaptable practice. The benefits are it decreases anxiety and depression, helps reduce muscle tension, increases flexibility, range of motion, and balance, can control pain, promotes self-healing, and improves overall quality of life and feeling of well-being. So the practice begs us to make it regular. If you come to a yoga class and it doesn't fit your need, or you take one online and it isn't something that you like, continue to kind of search and find the right teacher, something that feels good for you, the right movements that feel good. Think about how you feel the next day, because the idea is you want to do something that is supporting you, and you can use the tools throughout your day. And really, it's a regular practice. That's the whole beauty of it. You want to find something that you can do regularly. And it's doable. So whether it's virtual, whether you're going into a community class, find something that really benefits you, a class that benefits. Here's just a little bit of research. I think Dr. G mentioned the functional changes in Parkinson's disease. It can be balance. This particular study talked about functional improvements in Parkinson's following a randomized trial of yoga done in 2018. It specifically looked at balance and how it affected that. Motor function, the impact of mind-body exercises on motor function, depression, quality of life. And that was done in 2020. Regarding motor function, really they're looking at, again, that opportunity to connect breath with movement. That slow, repetitive movement connected with breath can be very good for the neurological system. And I side with Barbara Walker. I love John Kabat-Zinn. The only place you can ever be is where you are. Again, yoga offers us that opportunity to go inside and be with what is. And, you know, in our busy culture, life just pulls us in every direction. The goal, the ultimate goal of yoga is really to find that stillness that exists in us, in every one of us. And when you lie down in Savasana after a class, in that final resting where you're letting all the benefit of the practice come to you, you kind of get it. If you're in the right class, maybe take a real special look at Savasana, how it resonates with you. If you're able to kind of get a glimmer of that stillness, that equanimity, that feeling of peacefulness, I think it's the class for you. And then the next, if you're creating a future that doesn't exist yet, then that's the definition of worry. This quote was from the late Yanni Chapman, founder of the Chyette Yoga Therapy in Cancer and Chronic Illness. And what you resist persists. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a little practice here. I thought we would start in a chair without arms that's supportive. I'm going to have you sit and scoot yourself from the back of the chair. You have an option. If you don't want to scoot yourself up, I would like your feet to be on the floor. But if you're way back here, I just want to make sure that your back can be supportive. And notice that I have a block. You can put a pillow back here, because when that gives you that support you need in your spine, you're able to really sit upright. I'm going to begin by mentioning that there were 5 seated poses originally in yoga. 5 seated poses so that the ancients could sit and meditate. It was all about the integrity of the spine. alignment and strength so that they could sit quietly. And I love that because we've taken it in this country and turned it into an Olympian feat, but it's really 5 seated poses. How are we sitting? So we're going to sit really upright. We're going to do our yoga, and this is where we start. It's our foundation, and it's the best pose of all. It's called Sukhasana, easy seat. So you're going to sit, ground the feet, allow your sitting bones to be rooted in the chair. Somebody said, I haven't heard that expression in a long time. Sit bones is actually the correct terminology. And we each have 2. So I want you to kind of think about letting those just sink and settle, letting your feet settle. Okay, palms can be up, palms can be down, you choose. And I want you to think about from the tailbone up through the crown of the head being tall, shoulders back in line with ears, ears back in line with shoulders. And then from here, if you could relax the shoulders down your back, and take special attention now to the rib cage and allow it to soften, but allow the lower ribs to kind of corset together and down so that you aren't really pushing the ribs out or, kind of letting your tailbone kind of drop under. I want you to think about rooting with this core support, this idea of stability here. In yoga, we call it solar plexus. But this is kind of where your core support comes from, right at the rib cage. So I want you even to place a hand there, a hand on the belly. Relax the shoulders, close the eyes. And just begin to allow yourself to sink and soften, even though the crown of your head is moving upward and you are lifted but rooted, rooting to rise. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw, soften the eyelids, close the eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, you're just focusing on a spot in front of you that doesn't move. Lowering your eyes, and begin to just watch the breath, softening the belly and the rib cage. Notice the breath coming in. Notice the breath leaving. A few times, not manipulating it, just with that soft trunk. Giving your body freedom to let that diaphragm move now a little bit more. Maybe even noticing the hands moving in the belly. The hands moving, maybe you notice the breath connecting a little deeper. And if you don't, that's okay. Okay, this is just about your breath. I don't want you to feel any reaching, striving, or struggling. I just want you to soften so much that you might feel it a little bit more. If you don't, it's okay. Begin to allow the exhale to maybe lengthen a little bit longer so that you're not cheating the exhale. Maybe your exhale can be a little bit of a nudging out to the very, very end. And continue this pattern of breathing, smoothing out the inhale and the exhale. Deepening the breath a little bit, just noticing where do you feel the breath most easily and steadily. Is it in the nostrils, maybe the throat, maybe the belly? Good, go ahead and release the arms now, keeping the eyes closed. Just notice, moving inside, maybe notice any sensations of the breath now as it's moving. Good, and then go ahead and blink the eyes open. We're going to begin to move the head and neck a little bit, start our movement. Drop the right ear to the right shoulder. And I don't want you to push that right ear to the right shoulder, just a gentle dropping, keeping in mind that the ears are back in line with the shoulders. Inhale the head up, dropping the left ear to the left shoulder. And can you do this in a way that feels good? You're not pushing or over striving. You're just connecting that breath with the movement. Just dropping, releasing the shoulders. Try to keep the shoulders out of the equation totally. You're isolating the muscles in the head and neck so that the shoulders, the traps aren't being used. That's where we hold all the tension and tightness. Often in our shoulders, we get the shoulders involved and our neck gets tight and tense. You're just moving side to side on your own, feeling a gentle stretch on each side, keeping the shoulders relaxed down the back. Thinking about all those muscles that are working to make this happen. Good. Come up to neutral. Roll the shoulders up towards the ears and back down the back. Just a few times at your own. Inhaling and exhaling back. Good. Your own comfort level. We're going to take the right shoulder and move it up and back. Just the right shoulder. Isolating that movement. Good. And then the left shoulder. Up and back. Notice the difference on the sides. Does one side feel tighter than another? Good. Then we're going to go side to side. Forwards and backwards, side to side. A little bit of a walking and chewing gum kind of thing. Good. And then we're going to go the other way. Backwards to forwards on each side. Great. Come down, relax the arms. Look down at the feet. Make sure that they're plugged in, the seat is plugged in. We're going to take our arms up overhead now for a little bit of a seated extended mountain. Just breathe in. And as you breathe in, you're going to root the feet, root the seat, lift up through the side body. Maybe even look up at your hands. And if this is your extension, that's fine. If this is your extension, that's fine. Okay? Yoga is about finding something that works for you, right? So if this doesn't feel good and you can't get your arms all the way up, bend your elbows. Doesn't matter what it looks like, okay? Breathe in, big breath in, good. And then as we exhale out, we're going to hinge at the hips. And I'm just going to show you a gentle hinge. It's not a rounding, it's a hinging at the hips. So you're coming forward like your heart is being pulled forward with a string. And you don't have to go down so far. Good. Pressing through the feet, engaging your abdominals and that core that I taught you earlier. You're going to lift up on an inhale. This brings a lot of great circulation to the spine, blood flow, big breath in. It's great for digestion. Exhale into that forward fold, coming a little forward, only to your comfort level, and inhale up. Nice. One more time on your own. Big breath in, length, and then find that nice forward fold. Nice long spine from tailbone out through the crown of the head. You're long. Nothing dangerous. Good. And then come all the way up, breathing in. And relax the arms down to the side. Good. Notice how you feel. Remember, the most important thing in yoga is awareness. Let's bring our hands to the knees. And as we think about cat-cow pose, we're going to think about length in the spine. And we're going to slide the hands to the hip creases as we inhale. And as we inhale, we're going to just slightly lift the sternum and go into a little bit of an extension. If you can let your head drop back some, great. If you can't, that's okay. But it's a breath in to lift, slight arch. And exhale, round the back, slide the hands to the knees. You're dropping the head, coming into a slight flexion. If this doesn't feel good, you stay in neutral spine. Neutrality is always that core engagement, straight spine. Tiny bit of flexion if that feels good. Good. And then inhale back up to open. Little arch lift, inhale, and exhale round into your cat back if it feels okay. Back up the bus if it doesn't. And then go on your own, a few on your own. This helps stability of the hips. This really does a lot of great work for the pelvis because it helps with a lot of the flexibility of the pelvis, because as you notice, your pelvis is moving here. It can help bring new blood into the spine, circulation. Breathing in, breathing out, always connecting breath with movement. Good. Come up, sit, relax the shoulders. Notice how you feel. Maybe a little taller. Maybe your breath is moving a little bit. Notice the quality of your breath after movement. Great. Now we're going to take the left hand, bring it to the right knee. This is a twist, and it might be enough twist for you. I'm going to take my right hand and place it on my left shoulder. So this is a twist in itself, and maybe you just stay here. But the whole idea is you never want to twist a crooked spine. So think length. Again, your feet are working, your seat is working tall. You're going to trace your hands slowly across your collarbone as you inhale, and exhale, open. Really smile through the collarbone, start twisting up and over the right shoulder if it feels okay. You can just be here. You never have to twist that much. Let your left hand anchor your right knee and use it as a guide, like hand to knee, knee to hand, pressing in to kind of anchor the twist. Hips aren't involved. Keep it safe. And then exhale, give yourself a half hug. Okay, come back. Just half hug. Couple times on your own, breathing in, tracing that collarbone, smile through the collarbones. See how you can work those intercostal muscles around the rib cage which helps with breath. We're using those muscles to breathe, to oxygenate. So anytime you can work those muscles, it's great. Come in half close, half hug, come back to center, realign. Realignment is always lift up through the crown of the head. If someone has a string attached to the crown of your head, tall. You're exhaling, opening. One last time. Your gaze can even go back to your right thumb if your shoulders allow. Relax the shoulders. Good, and then come back. Good, and we're going to go to the other side. 10 minutes here. You know what, instead of doing the other side, I think I'm going to stand and show you a few things. But I showed you that technique, so after this, make sure you get the other side, okay? I don't want to miss my standing poses for you, because standing poses build strength, and they help improve muscles in the legs and really can build bone health, which we all need. A lot of weight-bearing exercises. So we're going to stand in mountain pose, and I'm going to hold on to a chair. So make sure you have your chair close, and look down, and bigger toes are closer than heels. So it's a little bit of a pigeon-toed type of stance. We are going to come onto the big toe mound of the foot. Kind of rock onto the big toe mound and the inner ankle. And then we're going to rock back to the outer parts of the feet. They call it the knife edge side of the feet, the pinky toe side. And we're going to do that a few times, rocking in, rocking out, until you're feeling like you can feel all four corners of the feet. Then you're going to root down through all four corners of the feet. And see if you can push the earth away. Push the earth away with all four corners of your feet. If you don't feel your feet, you're growing seaweed. You know, I always tell people with neuropathy, you're always thinking about rooting, sending roots down to the earth with your feet. But if you don't feel the bottoms of your feet, think about seaweed, some kind of anchor, okay? Get creative. We're gonna lift our kneecaps as we push the earth away and kind of engage the quads. Think about spinning the inner thighs back. Your tailbone anchors straight down, okay? You see people who are super tuckers with the head forward, and you see people who let their ribs flare. Again, ribs corseted in and down. This is where your strength comes. And so from here, you're pushing the earth away. You feel strong in the core, and you're able to lift up through the crown of the head. Good. Let your arms relax. And it's just yoga, people. So relax, okay? It's just yoga. Have a little fun with it. And then maybe think about the bottom half of our body is effort, and the top half is ease. Here's that hatha, that effort and ease. Relax the shoulders. Are you breathing? Do you stop breathing when you're stressed? Do you stop breathing when you're doing your yoga? Just keep breathing. And you're letting the crown of your head reach. Good. Rooting to rise. Mountain pose. Great. This is the foundational pose for every yoga pose. If you're not in mountain, you're not doing yoga. Let's go ahead and lift the arms. And if you're not breathing, you're not doing yoga. So make sure you're breathing. Big breath in. Really good. And then exhale. Push that energy downward, energy upward, energy rooting. Let's go ahead, flip the palms up 3 times. Inhale. Push that energy up, lift. And exhale. Reaching through the side body. We sit so much, our side bodies get stuck. One last time. Lift that side body. Really nice. Good. And exhale, palms together. Samastiti. Samastiti. Good. And tree pose. So let's just do one balance pose. We're going to start on our left foot in mountain. Take our right toes out to the side. Okay. You can keep your right toe down, but look down and make sure it's on the same plane. You don't want the foot way out here, way behind here, on the same plane. Good. You can bring the foot to the top. You can leave it there, dumping weight into the left leg. I want you to kind of play with it. Hold on to a chair if you need to. And kind of find your own tree, okay? Think about rooting and grounding. Great. And then we're going to go to the other side. Left toes out. Really commit to the standing leg. Root to rise. And then find a tree on the other side. Hold on to the chair if you need to. Great. And I think my time is up. I'm going to sit back down, and I'm going to encourage you, those of you watching, to take a Savasana. So you're just lying down on your couch, you're sitting in your chair, you're lying down on the floor, you're covering yourself with blankets, you're taking extra special care to find your Savasana, which is a deep resting pose. Make sure your head is supported. Close the eyes. And just notice again that peacefulness within. Notice all the benefits of the movement, of the breath, of the awareness. And see if you can, at this time, surrender. Surrender even the breath, letting go of any need to try to fix, change, judge, compare, do. You're just noticing. And the benefit, the magic happens in the noticing and the surrendering. Thank you for sharing this gift of your practice with me today. Namaste. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. Yes, I think yes. Now, people say that bare feet, if there's any air or cold, can cause the neuropathy to get worse. So I tell people to wear socks if that is the case. But if neuropathy doesn't bother you, yes, bare feet for sure, because you can really feel circulation better. It just works better. I like you to feel your toes. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.